This is a total never-ending process. And when I say never-ending, this is never going to end. There's always a beginning. There's never an end in any position, location, anything through calculations. You couldn't even describe how big the massive communication is in all levels of its net, webbing net, communications net, the computer net line center, the rotation and interference locations, all levels of position location of codes, and how everything's set up in high position locations all through the atmospheres of change. The avatar has to come in sequence location of his atmosphere system. It's like breathing, okay? Has to breathe into the atmosphere of space for the first time. This is triangulation location to its calculation line conditions. I was connecting and speaking to Sacred Flame today when I was having breakfast. And she was talking about book reference, position locations of reading. And it was amazing how she gets into all level systems. I do videos in contract line rotation. She does everything, position locations of writing. She's sequencing locations, all levels, graph interference of triangulation. She sets up the course location to its relationships. That's how she's able to write these things in all levels of Fibonacci. I thought it was pretty cool. So it's kind of like going from Fibonacci to Fibonacci to Fibonacci, staying in the circle, staying in the circle. And when the universe line center is ready to break, it's going to go like a sprinkler in all different line position locations, right? Planet interference, high position locations, high line centers, rotation line position. It's amazing how these things are created through a geometry system location its calculation. Taper series valves, communication line centers, wall interference location of program settings. It's all about understanding the avatar system to its all directional location of space. So today we're going to get to a high level system. Okay, we're going to set the energy resistors, coil resist line center, rotation interference location of flash drives. We're going to overdrive the sequence line center communications. We're going to fly line center, interference line connection, the current line connection of Saturn. Saturn is going to operate the high position locations, change all fluctuation line positions of the propellers. It's like a fan. So it's going to, right? It's going to spin really, really fast. High position calculation line connections. We're going to go into 1.24 gigawatts. High levels of TV line rotation times triangle times pi, calculation square root. High rotation of flywheel, rotation center calculation line connections into all levels of 0.1111.01 track center interference position calculations. Open up all division line center to the spectral lights of communication cycles, into the telepathy of communications of humanity's system. The communication cycles in fifth dimensional location is locked in frequency of fifth dimension. The magnetic fields and the magnetic channels are in sequence as we speak. 5 to minutes, we'll get started. So as we set up course, you have to truly understand how to set up all levels of you through the avatar rotation. Now, an avatar rotation is also, again, yesterday with the singulatory. The singulatory is really, really interesting because it's all about the rotation of the ground centers. So let's get in modification line circles into the location calculations. Let's go into white graph line rotation. Now we go into high position location calculations, ground line system. Okay. Now calculate, modify high position location calculations, how it's set up, all levels. What does that look like to you? What does that look like to you? Right? Try to stand the line, try to stand the rotation, right? So it's all position locations and how you set the wave cycles to a crop circle location to its conditions, right? It's pretty amazing how these things fluctuate in line conditions. So this is how you guys are going to go through Saturn into position locations to a new flash drive. We have to overdrive the high line rotation, set up the 1.24 gigawatts in high system, changes the energy core, sets the energy line rotation into a disk. That disk is going to center off its high system, calculation modification to its computer operation line system. So it comes in its core system to its rotation, right? It's interesting how you all level the system locations. You come into all levels, calculation line position, right? So knowing exactly what you're doing through the 4-point center and position location of calculations. So setting operation line system is it's like a baseball diamond, right? So there's always a home plate. So home plate comes out. I hit the ball. There you go. I'm hitting the ball in 2 different direction locations. So it's all about setting all level position locations of calculations. Teleportation unit, right? Now, fluctuates line stars, star system, rotation line conditions. northwest, south, and east. Okay, so we come into the north cycle, we come into the east cycle, we come into the west cycle, and we come into the south cycle. Rotation interference, rotation program line connection. Now this interlines its connections to another diamond core resistor. Now this is where we come into the energy coil. Energy coil is a high line rotation. Now in calculation modifications, we set the course line positions, okay? Triangulating interference all levels of 4 directional line centers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So that's an 8 rotation center. Allocate time position line conditions. Opens up channel rotations into a new dimensional line position of a linking chain. There it is. There's the linking chain line system. See the center cross line conditions. This opens up the 8 line rotation. Now set up the coloration position. Now setting up all line center to the 8 rotation system location comes into new balance security. All right, so there's the balance security line system. Now, these things have to be set up first before you fly to any direct locations. Now, the crew line center setup position locations. Everything's the galactic units 1 and 2. Squad line center, vector core, all position locations into sector 1, communication cycle rotation. High level rotation in position location at GFL in rebellion. All right, so the H central line center is setting up. So it's coming into propeller. So we're changing the coloration line channel into rainbow activation line conditions. All right, so go into purple locations, into north cycle, setting up a whole level rotation system in calculations. See it? Now, the coloration line position comes in. We center up the high line rotation right to the ground interference. All right. Now we rotate the cycle in so many line circles in position, location, and calculation. Has to read the positions to its high system. Now, opposites line rotation. Now, the optical line channel changes rotation system. This is where we come into 1.24 gigawatts in position, location, rhythm patterns into all levels. Drum sequence, rhythm patterns, rotation cycles, beat drums, high line rotation, interference, location, and calculation. All right. And so it allocates line streams into all levels, coloration pattern. So we go into another 8 central line connection in position, location, and calculation. All right. Now, this is how it's all set up and strained. The flourish of time centers come into higher formation line conditions. All levels of the avatar system has to come into a tree formation of life. Life exists on high position locations. You have to truly understand how to water the system of its ground system. Allocate time shift everything to its seed pod, activates all line position location to calculate the line centers. Now in calculation, we started it off through this. Now, once we get into high line rotation, we set up all course line conditions, all levels of Saturn communication. Saturn communications coming in, high rotation center. All right, here's Saturn and rotation center. Saturn's here, right? In position location, it reads the signal into the center rotation center line. See that? Goes right into the center. Sets out sonar line center rotation interference in position, location, and calculations. Right? It high channels back into high line rotation interference line conditions. Now this center opposite system locations, when it comes into its Earth, Earth is here in position locations. This is Earth. All right. Earth is here. All right. Now, in rotations is center up its line center. Let's go into stream interference. We're going to change the coloration line stands. Coloration line stand in position, location, coloration. Right? Changes line position locations. Let's redirect high system line conditions. Rotate stars, lights, rotation center line and rotation, coloration line change. All right. So in position locations, set up a whole new graph line center. Now the Earth is still in reconstruction, but we're working around the signal in communication cycle. Set the ground line center rotation interference. Now we come into the forestry line rotation to water line conditions. Water line conditions set up position, location, and calculations. All right. Now we come into all of the rotation to its calculation. So water sequence interference to the Earth comes a rotation cycle. Reset position, location, and calculations. Recenter line conditions all over this flash drive. Okay, so that's the Earth line connections. It's still in construction, so it has to understand the single point location of its alpha wave. That's what humanity is coming into, the alpha wave line center to the heart reactor location. Division line center is 7777. Port of communication is 0.1111.01. Track interference, time sequencing line conditions. And that's how we come into 1.24 gigawatts. Okay. line signal line connections, rotation interference. Probe locations, all levels of Saturn. Saturn in position line system. Okay, so the Earth sets all position locations back into sonar, comes in light signal line in rotation, set up signals in position locations to its own satellite line position. Right, satellites is set up to high system locations. There's the satellite, right? Satellite comes in position locations, goes back in its center line connections to all levels of its propeller. Okay, and then we come into triangle line center. Triangle line center position locations. Right, see that? See the triangle line center? Then we center up the high system line connections. We come into high position locations. We go back into Saturn line center. We go back down on rotation, and then we go back into center rotation of its propeller. There's the butterfly effect. Now that's set up the signal, rotation center to location to its connections. Now we're going to energize the energy line coil. The coil resistor is its position locations calculations. The 1.24 gigawatts is going to set the course and reset position locations to its flash drive of the body track location. This opens up all channel line centers. In position location, we change the coloration of Saturn. Now we set position location to calculations. This center opts its high system line positions into a new coloration line center. This opens up all level positions to its dimensional setting, to its rotation cycle of its clocking system. Okay, so it's interesting how it comes in that position locations. All right, so energy box, high rotations, energy resistors of coil resistor line rotation. Okay, this is pretty powerful stuff. Now we're going to line stream inner line connections, travel position locations in the box system. Okay, time sequencing time codes, allocate time lines right here. Those are the time lines right here. Okay, so we're going to box channel down in rotation center in calculation modification to its connection of Saturn line system. Rotate cycle line center and interference locations. Travel recognition of time, everything to all levels. Time line, time interference, time clocking, channel line condition all levels. Gigawatts and 1.24 positions. Now that 1.24 point positions is going to high signal everything through calculations. Modify signals times pi, time activation, time rotation line connections. Open up all channel line centers to everything through the coil line connections, to all flash drive interference, demanding line rotation, and to new single line connections to all satellite position location calculations, body frame, body change, body activation line connections, and position. Traversation of time positions of 12 DNA. Now the 12 DNA is activated through cycle. That opens all track line centers, sun communication line positions to a new moon program line center rotations. The interline connections comes into 12 triangles. 12 triangle line center rotation and ground interference. Change coloration line centers to a new rainbow activation line center to a TV reception line position. All right. In calculation, modifies all signal locations. Right. Activate signal line center locations, all levels. Put everything into the crew units 1 and 2 in position of GFL. Travel direction of time position location is satellite connection of Saturn. Communication all levels of rebellion. Set the signal course and line conditions. Travel position line connection. Coming in triangle line center rotation. All right. So we're coming into triangle line rotation. This is a triangle line. Okay, going in the opposite direction line system. Set up the high position locations of dimensional line centers, 12 DNA track locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 DNA track line center, interference location calculations. Center up the high position locations. Travel them to all levels of Saturn rotation. Blue line center coming into all positions. Okay, center up. Here we go. Travel position location to calculation. That's the high system. So you're traveling to high line center at 12 DNA track rotation line conditions, right? 30 minutes. Have fun. All through signal. Ooh-ah. All right. Amazing how you set these things up in coordinates. Right? All right. So where are we here? How's everybody doing? All right. We got almost 15 minutes. Track line center. So you guys will be up there for 30 minutes. Resetting the energy coils and resistors back in the flash drive. You got to overdrive the high center. This opens up all track line centers for Earth and puts higher levels. This puts a higher position locations of its Earth line into all levels of reconstruction to the Earth line connection. Right? But it's amazing how you set things up in sequence. All through Saturn, a rotation of a 12 DNA of its connection. So, all right. Galactic Squad, Michelle, how you doing? Grounds crew. Let's see, you guys gotta make sure you have your names at the end. Steph, how's it going? Jill, Bell, Max, Taryn, Nikki, Sharon, Rayner, Airbender, Michael, Amber, Don, Jill, Val, Jenny. So doing this faster makes everything's more complete cycle to its rotation system, guys. So it's important you understand what's going on with your traction. Already seen the flywheel flash drive set 1.24 gigawatts. Thank you, Johnny. Make sure you get the rhythm pattern locations to megahertz there, Johnny. It's got a signal line, interline condition rotation to set up all the energy coils. Okay. Coming into the resistors, people. Coming into the resistors. All right. So this basically what it does is it changes position locations of the film strip. Right? It tightens, it torques the system locations, and it goes faster through all levels of a film stream. So that's all we are. It's just high position locations. You put the generator together in position location of the projector to all levels of its reflection. This changes the film strip location to its flash drive. This overdrives the highline center to the motherboard communication to a teleportation line conditions, which is your seat of the soul. This sets the course in a high rotation to all levels of space and time to its entire system. So sure you understand how to use the receptor lines in communication. All right, amazing. I felt amazing to be with our friend. Great, fantastic there, Val. Grand Rising, yeah, Corporal. Rooted Ground, make sure you have questions in the comments after, right, because they go on TikTok. All right. Happy birthday to Ryan. Amber, let's see, where are we here? Michelle, how's it going? Just going through everybody's list. All right, things get a little more higher formation line position, especially with the crew and everything the Galactics 1 and 2. Next week, we get into teleportation. All right. Pulsating, activating banshees and formations, then circling, market buzz, activating screens, 4K, activating ready to observe all game center. Nice. Graphing sequence activated. Good. Fantastic. Checkpoints everything through the security line defense before you guys travel. Make sure you do that. Make sure you have your grounds. Make sure you have your water. Make sure you have your structures, right? This gives you all levels of connections. All right, rooted grounds, E-fields, blazing, crystals on the right, dragons left. Okay, pre-flights, excellent. Pre-check everything yet, Michelle. All right. Slot 777, this is, and then 111, and then 999. Knowing exactly what you're seeing and why you're seeing these things is its position location, its calculations. So stepping away from the sequence family. Welcome, folks. Please refrain comments, questions afterwards. Coming from Rebellion Leader Jill. Thank you. Okay. As per General's information, I have the water starters in place, DNA tracks set for higher speed, stability, or we mode as Amber says. So basically everything through all levels of the crew, the squads of 1 and 2 are basically in position locations. Corporal is in high line center. He's a high position location into the system. Everybody else is just watching and observing. This is turn standing is you're going to high formation, but you have to go higher levels of the mind. And that's why you go to school, is to recognize everything that's going on in formation. Okay? The better you channel through frequencies, the better you understand your program location, your data streams. So Judy has it going. Naomi has it going. All right. Rainbow, plasma, ignited, ready to go line conditions. Let's see. Naomi, our trail line rotation, your squad line centers offline conditions, reset position, gravity interference, put you back in calculation. Line stream line centers. There you go. I can't have anybody off signal. All right. So let's see. Going through all signal locations. Crown is going crazy this morning. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things that are happening too. So it's amazing how we go into that conditions. All right. So we're going to platitude divisions, complete inline center line and inner line conditions. So gigawatts is set up. Good. Fantastic. Make sure the megahertz. All right. Let's see. So the water's set. What about from there? Gets a little bit more tricky when you understand calculations. Oh, you're welcome. Shocking levels of atoms in Saturn. Thanks to the Thunderbird confirmation. Everybody breathe. Breathe is number one, guys. Atom shifting. And you understand, too, is the Merkabah has to really understand the travels of you. And the only way to do that is to understand the fluctuation, right? Try to use the console communication. All right. All right. So as we come into this connections, now we have to understand what's going on through the motherboard. Right? There's so many levels we have to reach this location before we reach the heartline center. Okay, of its computer operation line conditions, which is the heart reactor. All right, so in line condition, changing grid lines. So we're going to the yellow strip. Now the yellow strip is all set up through triangles. Now it's one triangle from one triangle to another triangle. Set course line condition interference, rotation line position location calculations. We start off with this. All right. So it's all about understanding how to sequence location of channels, its operation to its system. It calculates and modifies all levels of rotation system. Okay. So it's gathering information of data streams. Now it's all calculated by high position locations. All right. So we start with that through triangle line center. Okay. And then we come into red and communication of pink and rotation of center line conditions, overlapping division line rotation. All right. So this is all line position location and calculation line conditions. All right. Everything is in line sequence to its flash drive. Okay. So it's layer on layer on layer on layer because you know what a flash drive is, right? So you have to understand how to use it through its film strip. So we're basically setting a new film strip line center to 8 rotation line interference, which is the rotation system to its locations to its connection. All right. Now we go in position locations, and this is where the propeller comes into high line rotation, right? So, but it's all in the same coloration line channel, okay? So it's amazing how it's set up in correlation line position, all right? So, and this is where it comes into the flower rotation. There it is right there, is the flower. Now the synchronous interference location has its own ground line center, and it has its position locations of branches. We change that into coloration of green line condition, right? This is where you blossom into the galaxy interference. This is where you come into all levels of its galaxy relay. Now there's structural line conditions of digital codes. Set line position locations, all branch line centers, comes into calculation of formation of a tree of life in position, right? So this center lines its connection to all levels of its brain stem. Now brain stem is a graph line center. Graph line center location is its membrane interference location of its scepter. Scepter and line condition rotation to its calculation line conditions. So it's amazing how it comes into calculation. All right. So as it comes into modification cycle, we go back in communication on levels of Saturn. Saturn is in rotation center in position location and calculations. Right? There's Saturn. Now Saturn sets a light center rotation in position. Okay. Always center up high systems. You have to strictly understand that. Now it's going to downshift in a 12 division line rotation. Okay. In all practical line connections, security line defense comes in position locations, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Center line connections. You guys are coming out of position locations, right? Here, right? Into here, into here. All right. So you're traveling, right? Now you're going to go into the center line position. Right? 50 minutes, have fun. Now, this is a modification circle. It's all connection to the flower rest of the time. It's all connected to the flywheel. Everything's connected to you. Humanity has to understand the communication of its film strip. This is how we change the flash drive line conditions to all levels of its gigahertz. So it's symmetrical line conditions, interference location of channel, T reception line rotation. It's all in position locations, right? So that's true understanding. You have to understand the data streams. You have to understand the interference line center. You have to understand the channel rotation. You have to understand the film strips. So it's film strips that's tightening the high line rotation of your thought patterns. Open up all coloration line channels of triangle location to its connections. Opening up all levels of your digital framing of its coloration. All right? So in position locations, next week we get into string theory. This is mostly for the connections of the crew 1s and 2s squads, because you guys have to learn how to use string theory and how to travel through a portal, how to open up a portal, how to set up a code, how to go through a plasma line center, how to go through time, capacity, location to its connections. Check out Space Discoveries 1 and 2, season 1 and 2, 10 videos. It tells you everything that you need to understand how to go through the process of its relation. Okay? So, let me know how everybody's going through right now. Oh, a huge blast of light, sonic boom for the final ring activated. Hallway doors is set. We have a new travel tunnel from beginning to end, another way around. Well, it's communication through cycles, right? So, but you have to understand what's happening all level position locations when it comes into a whole new level of thought patterns, coloration of time. Space position locations of time, time sequences of time, times clockings of time. It opens all line position location in your triangles and communications to your flower recognitions of time. Okay? So let's get the speed steady, lock, steam, focus on the magnetic highway, please. Yep, all balancing. Everything that you do every single day works towards everything. So it's like fixing a road graph, right? Or connections all levels. How a train, is keep going and going and going and going. And if there's not a road set up, how's it going to travel, right? So you have to fix it, right? So it can keep going, 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 going. So it's understanding space and time of history and ancestry and how you set these things up in coordinates. It's amazing how you change these things all levels from the avatar system to its calculation of its computer operation line condition. So, all right, it's fantastic. The energy is amazing. Yep. Yeah, wait till tomorrow when we do a factory reset. Oh, that's going to be big. All right, codes on the flowers are requiring nature and the earth and the oceans. Very good, Jenny. Knowing exactly what you're up against and how to change things in provision. Coordinates line conditions. Ringing, lighting up. Yeah, yes, let me know when we are ready to merge. Okay, good. Embers on standby. Smelling the roses. Weather's still a bit off balance. Huge blast. Yeah. It's great, eh? It's fantastic we do these things. Mach 70 around the planet, fixed atoms. Okay, feeling the rotation is stable and looking good. Let's clean up our tools. Yeah, knowing exactly what you're doing, right? That's the most important thing. So it goes beyond recognition of time through space. And this is where it comes into, again, to the phenomenal channel, which is all levels of you to its imagination, right? You have to set the course to your avatar system and know exactly what is your intent. What's the purpose? What's the reason? Why am I doing this? How's it going to change anything, right? Well, you know it's going to change something because you want it to change. And that is sufficient enough to know exactly what you need to do through acceleration. It mocks its interference location, anything of that calculations. So it's the avatar of fully understanding the conception of understanding. So ground in our heads is adjusting a lotus flower. Okay, so we got one more signal panel, and then we're good to go. All right, so in connections, right? All right, so it's amazing how we graph line centers. We're going to go through white graph interference. So you understand the calculation. It's all through translucent pattern line rotation. All right, so as we come into calculating rotation, we go into high line rotation. Now this is all about understanding at all levels of its avatar system. All right, the avatar system line conditions. So we open our line center. We come in position location to its rotation system. Okay, now we come back into Saturn. Saturn set up all sequence location to calculate line conditions. Saturn is in this position location. Remember, it's always with you to all the system, the sun and the moon, right? Saturn's over here now, all right? So it's going to line connection interference location to center up, right? This is the flash drive that's going to go into the motherboard, all right? So the motherboard set up the high line center. It's going to sync down in position locations to the neckline center rotations and set up a new spine graph line rotation to its connections, the rotation system. Okay. As it comes in calculation line conditions, we're going to go to the opposite side rotation into all calculations, into the sun graph line rotation. Right? Sun is coming in position. You need the sun. All right, and then we have the fluctuation line condition, which is the stair of Fibonacci. Center line conditions to a new Orion's belt channel. Comes into a levels of bound security. Now this opens up sequence locations. This is where Boolean starts controlling the gateways of a high channel line center, a space position. Now it's in correlation line conditions, but it's not activated, right? I activate this, this activates the spine, right? Spine line rotation interference, channel line position location coloration system. It's in signal now. Okay, now it's activated line stream. Goes in position locations to the flash drive. Down cross system locations, T-line rotation. In position, line streams all the way down. Activates all position locations and all channel line centers into a new flash drive interference to a new spine operation to its position location calculations. Hooah! Done through equation. So, it's amazing what we just finished doing. It's incredible how you set these things up. Just to know how powerful it is when you connect to all levels of the avatar. The operation to a system is phenomenal when you do these things through its imagination of its realm. And everything connects to all levels of track line centers to 3, 6, and 9 to rotation system. Calculation line condition. Rotation to system location identification. Ooh-ah. So that was a lot of fun how we did that through all coordinates locations, all connections to high system, bound security line centers, and new gateway and line conditions. Now the rebellion controls all levels of gateways of space. All right, in position line connections. Now we got to go back to downstream line center rotations back to the earth line center and reconstruct locations to the energy core. Set the resistor line positions into level trial position locations of 1.24 gigawatts. That sets the core line center and reconstructs the whole level environment line system to its earth perception. So, lots to do. I know, eh? Woo! Oh boy. Steady holding space nicely with guarding. Excellent. It's good that too, because the rebellion understand the calculation line conditions. But controlling the gateways through Orion's belt, well, it's already in provision. It's protecting space in high locations. So E field's up, off balance, flow is beautiful. Okay. Step lock nicely. Okay, let's work on Saturn's E field. Okay. Flow in, rising more and more. Good. Bouncing, bouncing. Yep. Making the infusion Fisher tunnel release locations. Good. Excellent. Beautiful heartbeat. Yep. Very good, Ellen. Coming in that course's locations. That's how you use your calculation line center, geometry line design position locations to your sailboat. There's a reason why I set course in all levels of your heart reactors. This interchanges, interline, and connects to all levels of your Fibonacci sequence and how you're all calculated at all levels of your avatar system. Provisional location to its calculation of its operation system of its high rotation. So, all right, amazing work for the portals. They're still balanced now. Yeah, everything's changed. Yeah, easier for operation. Very good. Your film strips are now in a higher level system location of your thought patterns, right? So, thank you, Ambi, for confirmation for private sector. All right, so great job. Tomorrow, factor reset, location all levels. All right, see you guys on the flip side.